Well, welcome. This is the Peninsula Beverly Hills. My name is David Codney. I'm the executive chef. Brandon Weaver, Philip Hall, and Jason Hallsworth are my team joining me today. We are going to do our truffle macaroni and cheese. This dish is very simple, very easy to reproduce at home. The secret is all on how you build the flavors going into it. So what Brandon has in here inside the pan is a little bit of butter and a little bit of maitake mushrooms, or hen of the woods mushrooms. They call them hen of the woods because they look like feathers from inside the hen itself. You want to take this, you can use any mushroom you want. Shiitakes, portobello. We start off with a little bit of whole butter. That whole butter will brown with the mushrooms, taking off the moisture inside the mushrooms and really kind of creating this brown, nutty flavor with it. Shallots with it, use a bit of garlic as well, and we're going to sweat those till they're sweet. So you'll know when you start building enough flavors in here, you'll start seeing the brown coming off the side of it. That's the milk solids caramelizing on this. You want to make sure those get good, nice and golden brown going into this because you're going to build flavors in there. Then we add a little bit of fresh chopped thyme, a little bit of parsley and rosemary, and this is where we start adding salt. A lot of people think you add salt at the end just to bring it through, but you need to season in flavorings and season in steps, so the salt really permeates through all the way. It's not about adding salt at the end. You want to really kind of have it absorb inside the sauce and build and develop. While these are browning off, we're going to add a little bit of pasta to the water. We're going to bring it up. You can pre-blanch pasta. The pasta that we like to use here is an elbow macaroni, but it has some ridges to it, so it has a little bit of texture. Whole wheat's preferred if you want, but basically at the end of it, all these little ridges are going to help hold the sauce inside of it, so it's going to help out. The pasta's coming up to temp. We deglaze with a little bit of white wine that's going to help build it through. We're going to reduce this down. This white wine is going to be the base component, so we can start adding more flavors to it. The wine helps add a little bit of acidity to it, a little bit of freshness, but ultimately it helps add the viscosity so we can add the butter, a little bit of the cream, and a little bit of the cheese to bind it all together. We're going to bring this up to a simmer and add a little pat of butter. Now this butter is going to slowly melt inside of the wine, which is going to help kind of emulsify. It's going to look a little bit split and broken, but that's okay because the starch from inside the pasta is going to help bind this together. At this point, our pasta is cooked, ready to go. Again, if you pre-blanch this at home, it'll help you out, so it's quick and easy. So now what you see here is the noodles as they go through. The starch on the outside, the sheen, is actually coming from that, and what you'll see is when we start flipping this around, it's going to absorb inside of the noodle. You want to cook them a little bit less than what they should be because you're trying to, again, absorb all that product in there. So the salt's going to get absorbed in there, the wine's going to get absorbed in there, and the butter's going to help absorb inside there as well. Here we're going to add a little bit of stock that we can add. Now if you want to make this vegetarian, you can go 100% and make it mushroom. If you want to add chicken stock, it's fine. If you want to do duck stock and do some duck confit with this, this would be an applicable time. If you wanted to flip this around and then you can just add some lobster stock or shellfish stock. This dish is actually very versatile, so if you want to add different stocks to this would be the time to do it. At this point, the thyme we want to add towards the end because it's going to keep it very floral. Thyme is very nasally when you eat it, and it really finishes at the end of your mouth. And that really helps out, so we add this at the end. We'll bring this back up to boil. What you'll see here is the butter that we added with the wine will start to thicken up a little bit, and that's naturally from the starch that comes in. It also helps out when you use a little bit of the pasta water that you're coming from, because that naturally has released all the starch as well. We add a little bit of cream to it. This is going to come back up to heat as well, so again, they blend, they marry, and all the flavors really help develop. So we're adding layers upon layers upon layers. We'll add a little bit of cracked pepper. At this point, we're going to take a little bit of olive oil. This olive oil that we're using is Apollo olive oil. It's organically grown. The gentleman who actually produces this is vacuum packed going all the way through. He sells it by the vintage. Very, very peppery product. It's meant to be finished. It's not meant actually to cook with. When you open this the first time, it really smells like an olive orchard to it. So it just adds another level of complexity to it. Once you get into the viscosity that you like or the consistency, add a little bit of cheese to it. This could be pecorino, it could be Parmesan, it could be whatever cheese you like. Here we're just using a little bit of Parmesan Reggiano, but here, see how it's going to get a little bit too thick? If it's getting too thick, all you have to do is add a little bit of stock to it. That's good. And then we add a little bit more olive oil and a little pat of butter. And what that's going to do is help brown things out. Don't overthink it. At the end of it, if it's too thick, just thin it out. If it's too thin, just let it thicken up. We're not curing any diseases here. We're just cooking macaroni. We're going to finish it off with a little bit of white truffle oil. And the white truffle oil is going to help add the aromatics to it. It's important that you use white truffle oil at home because you can't always get fresh truffles in season. So it just helps out a little bit with things going into it. it up. And then what we have here is some herbs from our garden. Some Johnny Jump Ups, pansies, we have some borage flowers upstairs. We got some coriander blossoms as well. We'll finish with some fresh grated cheese as well, a little bit of truffle slices. And then on most plates, I like to finish with the olive oil that we were speaking about earlier. It just really helps loosen it up.
Everyone say macaroni and cheese.
No. It's spontaneous. You just can't film that again.
Macaroni and cheese.